Hi guys, just want to talk about a few things today, sort of loosely tied together. I was asked about fitness the other day and what's the point? Well, for me, it's not just about the exercise which makes you live longer with a bit of luck. Although if you get hit by the number 15 boss or whatever, there's not a lot I can do about that. But it should also help you feel fitter, which also helps your mental state. And things like walking in the park, I find actually is good for clearing the head and thinking about things and switching the phone off so that you're only focused on what you're doing at that time. Like doing some of these videos, for example. It's very important to do this type of stuff. And as I was saying yesterday on my other video, the big problem I have is I sit here looking at the screen most of the time, and that's one of the problems I have. I spend too much time here. Having these reminders, go at the park at 10:30, go to the gym at 12 o'clock, routine. It's the discipline. It keeps you focused, so it doesn't even matter what chaos is going on around you. Keeping to those routines is important because it's better for you. And it's not just about the simple stuff of getting out of bed in the morning. It's also getting out of bed in the morning if your partner's died. Getting out of bed in the morning because there's nothing to get up for. Getting out of the bed in the morning when things are just terrible. It's routine will keep you going through the darkness. So when it's good, and when it's bad, it's keeping you going. And that's one of the things I want to say, like in life, you just got to keep going. And even when things are going south, just remember everything's temporary. So that's from a health front. And then somebody asked me the question, well, what about if war breaks out? Because they're asking me in what I would do in stuff like this. So my recommendation is to be fit because the landscape around us is changing. Doesn't mean it's all going to go to conflict, but being able to adapt, change, and move is always a good thing anyway. So in the UK, we have multiple things going on. And this is why it's sort of relevant. I'll go through some of them because if you're from the US, you may, or sitting out in the Philippines, you've probably been lucky enough to avoid all the politics. So you got the grooming gang stuff, which is related to specific groups, and it's quite funny because even I've got friends from those communities, and they all sort of talk about the fact that you're more likely to have serious crime in the UK. More crimes in the UK are committed by white people. Well, if I was in India, I bet most of the crimes are committed by Indians. The problem is when you do it per one demographic v every 1,000 people, the stats start to change. So number of people that will commit, say, rape per 1,000 Albanians, Romanians, Croatians, you start to see the impact as this number goes from 1 to 100 or whatever, and you start to see certain communities commit more crime than anybody else, and that's the bits they try and ignore. But the point being is that is still bubbling on. You've got to bear in mind that that's been going on now, where there's supposed to be inquiries, not inquiries. Over 500 people connected with it are sort of still in the community or whatever. It's going to bubble to a point because people are already annoyed. people are expecting the government to do something, and they're not doing it. And before anybody gets on the bandwagon of, oh yeah, but you know, I'm saying with the white people, says, yeah, the Jimmy Savile, the bloody what's that? Gary Glitter, what's that other one? Tommy Kangaroo, Rolf Harris, right? I get it, but personally, I won't say what I'd do to them on this channel, but they'd be here one day and gone the next. That's my view on that. But I'd also add, they all worked at the BBC. So I get it. It's not a case I'm putting one against the other. I'd condemn them all, regardless. That's my view on it. They're no different. But if you've got like more crimes being committed by a group, or say the BBC, then there needs to be more investigation on those types of entities to weed it all out and get rid of it. But anyway, that's something that's bubbling along. Then you've got the mass migration stuff, which is not mass migration, it's illegal immigration. It's not just the fact that they're here, it's the fact is we're paying for it as well and told to shut up. That is bubbling along because they're assuming, I think, that this will become a vote piece, the same as they did with the US trying to push it in there. It backfires because anybody that's here as a majority is getting poorer. What? Why are you getting poorer? Well, if you're giving free accommodation to these people who shouldn't be here, and there's, I think, what, 2 million of them now in total. So you get free accommodation, all the bills paid, and they're out doing Uber Eats and whatever illegally, then they're better off than a lot of the people that are actually entitled to be here and have a passport and tied with the country and legal. It will bubble over because everyone else is getting poorer. You've got these people that are pushing up the cost of rents. Hotel availabilities. Hotel availability doesn't sound a big thing to you guys maybe, but you've got to take into account that a lot of the locations they're in are where contractors use them for work, which means when you need a gas engineer that's in doing a project for a month or two, his hotel room may have been 125 quid and now it's £300 a day. Won't impact him long term because he's not taking it off his bottom line. He's going to put it on the job. The job that maybe, say, with the NHS, maybe with whoever, but that cost is passed on to the consumer. So even the hotel costs become the taxpayer's problem. Then you've got the fact that you flood the people into private accommodation, which then creates a demand. So rooms start going up by, say, 30%. So the cost of accommodation, if you're here legally, goes up. It doesn't affect these twats. They're not paying it. You're paying it twice because your rent goes up and they take your tax money to accommodate for them. So the point is, these things are bubbling up. And it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree, you've got to take it from an empathetic viewpoint of putting your mind in the mindset of the person who's annoyed, which is something the politicians don't seem to understand. They just see these people as scum, I think. You know, the electorate are just scum. But anyway, so you got that bubbling over. You got India and Pakistan bubbling over. Why is that going to affect the UK? 3 million Pakistanis, 3 million Indians live in the UK. You're not expecting any riots? A lot of these communities riot about small stuff. We had riots for stuff in Bangladesh, completely unrelated to where we are. We're constantly getting every week protests about about Israel and Palestine. And you're sitting there going, I'm not involved in Israel. I couldn't care less about Palestine. It's not because I'm negative, it's this stuff that is unrelated to me, and they all lie. It's very rare that you'll get facts in media these days. So unless I'm going to go to Israel or Palestine directly, then I'm just dismissing it. I'm not interested, not getting involved, because it's manipulated either way. That's just mainstream media, guys. So the point being, the chances of conflict in the UK and a bigger problem occurring is probably growing. Reform is taking more political seats and developing as a bigger party. But if Farage then doesn't deliver, if he does become Prime Minister, that may be a tinderbox moment that they were expecting, bizarrely, in the US with the last election with Trump and Kamala. Because when people realise that the voting's rigged or whatever, it boils over. The UK is at a point where it's not financially viable. It's been flooded with people that were never invited here and have got no legal right to be here. And at the same time, being heavily supported by the government. So if Farage gets in and doesn't follow what the people want, I think you've got a perfect problem. And then you get onto the continent. Le Pen are being, indicted or whatever they're doing, stuff they're making up that they're just to try and prevent her from going to office. Funny enough, similar to what they did with Trump, when Trump had to fight his court case. And then they're trying to do with AfD now in Germany. Now, the first thing, me being me, is I go, this is a bit odd. They seem to be all on the same playbook. They all seem to be doing similar things globally. That's not a good thing. That means we're infected by globalists at a very bad level, because they will sell out all their homelands for the benefit of whoever their paymasters are. And it used to be conspiracy theorists, but now it's so in your face. It's becoming undeniable. We'll see where it goes, but this gets back to just prepare yourself. Just do stuff to make things happen. Get fit, get healthy, look after yourself, maybe join a martial arts club. But also, this may sound chaotic, but it's also opportunity, because your focus, there's reasoning to do some of this stuff, to look after yourself, because you don't know what's happening tomorrow. I don't mean literally tomorrow, but there's so much uncertainty, and I'd say it's far worse now because of the way the media is. When I go back to my childhood, it was a lot more structured. So, for example, the media served the government, but the government was often more of its old imperial mindset. These days, it's against the people. The media's against the people, and the government's against the people. That's not good. And like I said, we don't look at the doom and gloom. We look at what do we need to do for ourselves to keep ahead of the curve, which is look after ourselves, get ourselves fit, get ourselves healthy, and what comes may doesn't really matter. Because let's face it, if it does happen, you'll be better prepared. If it doesn't happen, great. There's no downside at all. But if it's a motivation to actually put some more effort into yourself, that's a bonus. Thanks for watching.